Chicago is the perfect case study for Black Lives Matter. Chicago, of course, being the home of DePaul. I was out recently and stopped. It's the only event I've ever had to stop. It's the only thing I've ever had to call short. It's Obama's hometown, because of course it is, run by Mayor Rahm Emanuel, who was Obama's chief of staff and worked in the Clinton White House as well. Chicago is a very gun-unfriendly city. Combined with complete domination of the local government by Democrats, it should be a paradise for black residents, given that guns are banned everywhere, right? I thought that's how it worked. Like, if there's a gun crime, you just say, okay, guys, no more guns, and all of the killers and crazies go, oh, all right, then. Gun-free... This, of course, lays bare the insanity of the liberal mind. You know, there's a shooting at a school, or there's a shooting at a shopping centre, or a military base, and their answer is less guns, not more, so that people can't protect themselves against crazy people who, of course, if you just simply put up a sign saying, no guns here, please, would obviously listen. After my speech at DePaul was shut down by Black Lives Matter, they were quoted in the press saying I threatened their physical safety and could cause a massacre. They said my words could cause a massacre. Well, the massacre did come to Chicago, but it had nothing to do with me. Over Memorial Day weekend, there were 69 shootings in Chicago. The majority of them were black-on-black crime. This ended the deadliest month of May in 21 years. This wasn't a massacre prompted by a gay man's opinions. It was black men pointing guns at other black men, a subject on which Black Lives Matter has nothing to say. Murder was up 40% during the month, and Mayor Emanuel told the press club, we've had some success. I don't know how he defines failure, probably like other liberals. Shootings are up 50% year over year, the third year of increases in Chicago, and these are not legal guns being used. Cracking down on people's legal rights to own firearms, cracking down on the Second Amendment, which Obama clearly hates, is not going to save lives. And if you doubt that, and there's sometimes some idiot in the back saying, where's your statistics from? This is the liberal Chicago Tribune, so you can look it up yourself. If you think murder in Chicago is white people in the fancy parts of town, I'm afraid you're mistaken. Murder in Chicago is a black problem. Black Lives Matter wants nothing to do with it. There have been almost as many murders in Chicago since 2001 as there have been soldiers who have died in Iraq and Afghanistan combined. There's only a gap of about 900 between the 8,300 combat deaths and the 7,400 Iraq murders. That's from Homicide Watch Chicago, which is a media watchdog on crime in the city. That's why black babies in Chicago have to sleep in the bathtub, because Rahm Emanuel, the Democrats, and Black Lives Matter will not take action. I suppose I'll close out my bit on Chicago by saying if you don't want to end up living in a corrupt hellscape, maybe elect a few conservatives. And see what happens. Because so far it hasn't been working. And this is the consistent problem with black communities in this country, who have, as I said in previous talks, some valid grievances. There are some questions to answer, there is some redress needed, but Black Lives Matter isn't the answer, and continuously re-electing Democrats like Hillary Clinton definitely isn't either. Chicago was my big city example in this talk. Do you know if you look at the 20 largest cities in America, the state Chicago is in might explain why it is only Chicago that is losing population. A lot of the people leaving are blacks, wealthy and middle-class blacks, because they're not safe in their own neighborhoods. It's actually a reverse migration south to the suburbs of Atlanta. Because social justice warriors don't particularly care about black children staying alive, but black people do. So those cities that are run by progressives and liberals are experiencing a black exodus. What more do you need to know? Black people don't want to live in cities where these people are elected. And as for Black Lives Matter, well, black lives do matter, so why don't you pay attention to where blacks are really dying? The streets of Chicago's South and West Side, along with so many other black neighborhoods in this country, Officer Friendly is far less likely to shoot you than the guy selling 8 balls outside your apartment. Seems a bit crazy that it takes one gay British conservative, even one as stunning and handsome, popular, brilliant, talented... Sorry, my speechwriter went a bit crazy. This looking for a bonus. To point out that Black Lives Matter is not even addressing the right problems. I like to imagine them organising a conference in Antarctica. They'd all show up in beachwear. Except DeRay, of course, he's had that fucking vest on. What Black Lives Matter is doing to black people is manipulating them into doing bad things, overreacting. It's manipulating them into hysteria. It's manipulating them into bad behaviour. We saw at DePaul, for instance, at my speech recently. And it is blinding us to the realities. It is also demonising one of the best institutions in America. You're a very young country, and you don't have many institutions to speak of, certainly nothing like I had. I was in San Francisco once, and I was in one of those speakeasies, you know, the place you have to go down like into a basement to drink very bad, very overpriced cocktails. And the owner of the bar very proudly told me the wood panelling was from 1920. I said, my college was built in 1412. So you don't have much in the way of history or institution in this country yet, but you do have a healthy admiration and respect for the office of the President of the United States, and you do have a great institution in the police force. And it's about time that we started treating them with a bit more respect and a bit more thanks.